All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Canyon's 360 Lab Triathlon Talk Show. I'm super stoked because there's a lot of things to be stoked about. We've got Triathlon Taren on board, YouTube celebrity, sporting a beautiful Canyon 360 Lab shirt. How you doing today, Taren?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. We're going to give away some swag.
That's right. We're going to give away more than some swag. We're going to give away a Canyon Speed Max 7.0, super sleek, super fast tri-bike. You have a Speed Max in your repertoire.
I have a couple.
A couple.
I
All
have
right.
a couple. I was lucky enough to be graced with a couple. One for my Zwift setup, and then one for out racing. Yeah.
Nice. Which ones did you get? Do you know which model? This is the fast ones, right?
Just the fast ones. I got the entry level with the deep section Reynolds wheels for the Zwift setup, and then I've got kind of as a placeholder because I believe there's something new and fancy coming out soon.
Yeah.
I've got the top of the line model for the race bike.
Nice. So yeah, I just popped up a picture. I'm not sure if you can see this, Taren, but this is actually the bike we're giving away.
Look at that guy.
Oh yeah.
That's the bike I've got on the trainer.
It's
That's
kind of
fantastic bike.
It's kind of the stealth bomber, man. I mean, it's like super fast, super agile, really fun to ride, very stable through the corners. I kind of thought it was going to be a little more twitchy. But this is a fun, extremely fast bike and an incredible deal, not to mention. But it's going to be really fun. Toward the end of our broadcast, we're going to give away this bike. And, yeah, it has really just been a fantastic fall season with the Canyon 360 Labs, having on some really amazing guests of all different corners of the world, different specialties within triathlon, performance experts, technical experts. We have, all the, pros, just almost all the pros from Canyon's, amazing list of pro athletes. But then we also had the DIY Tri. So DIY Tri was just this idea like, hey, races are canceled. What are we going to do to get people stoked? What are we going to do to get people fired up out there, sharing their hashtags, sharing their pictures? And, for a lot of people, it was their first time doing a triathlon, myself included. And it was just wild. Just really, really neat experience. And I didn't think we were going to get as many people to use the hashtag as we did. We had 10,400 people sign up on Canyon, and we've got a couple really interesting sort of stories. So we're going to see if we can get one of our stories on board. So this is Jay. Let's see if I can get Jay in on the broadcast. All right, Jay. So, Jay, tell us a little bit about your story. Back up from your camera a little bit so we can see a little. There we go. So, Jay, you had a really awesome Instagram post, which linked to your Strava, which talked in more detail about your story with triathlon and, how you say triathlon saved your life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, very literally, had it not been for working out and focusing on triathlon stuff, an accident that I had skydiving would have killed me. It was canopy flying, so it was a 100% operational canopy, and what you do is swoop down at the water, generate speed, and navigate a course. And I got misjudged a turn and slammed the water so hard that it put up a bunch of my organs. And and the kicker was a week earlier than that, we had just found out that we were pregnant with my first child.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was an intense week in the hospital, and but because I had been working through and up to sprint triathlons and stuff, staying fit for those kinds of activities, the surgeon in the post-op report talked about how she wouldn't have been able to have navigated had I had any more fat on me. Mm-hmm. So staying fit was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big part of, the unexpected benefits of having, a healthy routine, healthy aspect, kind of moved around our frames a little bit. But keep on telling us about your DIY try, please.
Yeah, no doubt. So and that's actually kind of the second time that tries to save my life, really, because about a year ago, kind of made the decision that I'd gotten too heavy, and it was time for a lifestyle change. I kind of put the bike in the shed and been focused on family and stuff. I've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
So I know you know what that's all about, Jeremiah. So some of those photos.
Well, I don't have 4. That's too much for me. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, trying to figure out how to balance, physical fitness and work and the kid life and everything. So, I kind of backed off, put the bike on the rack, and but pulled it out at just the right time with COVID kicking in, and it taught me how to rebalance and refocus, and I ended up losing about 35 pounds.
Mm-hmm. And you and your buddies, you talked your buddies into this thing too, right?
Actually, they talked me into the half. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they had signed up to do it, and they got canceled at the Eagle Man. And about the time I've been up to the fitness level of Olympic distance, that I really suffered through. So it was a tough decision to make that leap up to the next level. Nice. But those guys were doing it, and I weren't going to let them do it without me. And awesome. Actually, that's the photo of the post. That was a DIY try that we did down the Dismal Swamp.
Right, I'm pulling up this photo. Oh man, check that out! Isn't that what it's all about? Friends talking friends into doing dumb stuff.
It was great. We did the distance and everything, and actually, even after that, I kept it going. I did a 143-mile ride down to Frisco for a camping trip with my original crew from high school and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, we'd like to reward your efforts. So you're one of our finalists, and we have a Canyon prize box with hat, shirt, Amp Human prize pack with T-shirts, bottles, and we've got 6-month Training Peaks Premium, so you can continue your triathlon training, split nutrition, mega box. So you're one of our finalists. Thanks for coming on and sharing your inspirational story. We're going to share some more of these posts, and thanks for sort of sharing, that inspiration, because it's really contagious. Your post really got a lot of people inspired, and I think some more people are going to get out there and try. So thanks for coming on today, and really appreciate you jumping on board, and hope you enjoy the mega swag box. You'll probably be getting boxes from 3 different groups at this point. So congratulations.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. And thanks to the Canyon for putting it on, man. This is a cool contest. I really had a good time.
Awesome. Great.
Good job, man.
All right. So, all right.
Not just the best, hey?
Oh, it's just awesome. I think it's just one of those things. I hung up both calls instead of just his. But super cool. People hashtag Canyon DIY try, and just so cool to see some of the stuff that popped up. We were trying to think of some fun ways to sort of share these posts, and I took a couple screenshots because some of these are so funny. I was drinking a beer last night looking through them, and I put together some categories, sort of funny, inspirational, silly, and this is one of the funnier ones. Check out this meme. Ben thinking he won coming out of the water. Me You know, and so I thought it was just super fun to share some of these, and just really kind of hilarious. Each one of these that I post up are winners for a Canyon swag box. They're among our finalists. Taren is going to actually announce our actual winner, which is going to be super fun. I think someone's in for a big surprise. So we've got another really fun one to show. So that was our winner for funny, and we also had a bunch of really bizarre formats. This is one post by Adam. Today he did the Canyon DIY try with 3 sports being Zwift, run, and baby walk. I mean, what do you think, Taren? Would you think he was like running down the sidewalk screaming Strava?
You know what? I hope he took a crack at the world stroller push world record. Like, if he could do that in a triathlon, that's bragging rights for life.
Yeah, I thought that one was
just
awesome.
Hanging on for dear life there.
So good. Check this one out. So this guy, Jason, I mean, we got the storm last week, and that wasn't easy to swim. So he was like, well, you know, I've got to get out with this snowblower anyway. Swim, bike, snowblow? I mean, is that a thing?
I'm in Winnipeg. That's legit. That's hard work.
That's the Canadian triathlon?
Hey, been there, man. I get it.
All right. I want to hear what you think about, this one. What do you got to say about the swim bike baby? Do you think that's a legit format?
I'd say so. You know, as long as he's willing to take the extra aero drag penalty, go for it. He or she, whoever did it.
Okay. All right. What about this one? Swim, bike, canoe. Hang on.
Swim, bike, canoe.
Yeah. Let me get rid of this one. I'm putting them on top of each other. All right. Swim, bike, canoe.
Do triathletes own lats? Do we have muscles in our lats for canoeing? I didn't know we did. I didn't know that was an option.
I thought it was creative. You know, we opened it up because, you know, the water's getting cold, and not everybody's a dummy like me and is going to swim. But yeah, we've got Matt Hicks is on the line here. So we should probably take his phone call. What do you think? Let's see if we can get Matt in here real quick. Hey, how's it going, Matt?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty awesome. So I think it's a really cool chance for you to tell us a little bit about your triathlon story. Welcome to the Canyon 360 Labs, and what's your triathlon background? Tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt.
So I had about 20 surgeries, so I tried out of the wear and tear on my knees, and trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
So I've always been a runner, and just kind of fell into triathlon this year. Signed up for a couple races that got canceled, and then I was finally able to do 2 races this summer, just 2 sprints.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and I think this is going to be my new thing.
Nice. I love it. So you read in your story, so we're sharing people's stories. This is the whole point of this thing, and you're one of the finalists, so you won a swag box with all kinds of awesome Canyon stuff in it. So tell us about your triathlon. You said you borrowed a bike or something?
No, I bought a bike, a used bike off of Craigslist for like $200, and I mean, it works, but obviously it could be better.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what? It's sometimes that's what it's all about, you know. And tell us about your triathlon kind of experience.
Well, I didn't know what to expect going in. I thought I was a good swimmer. Apparently, I'm not. I struggled a lot with the swim, so I got to work on that. But it was just fun. The first time, didn't have any goal, just wanted to finish, and it went well. Okay, the swim was a struggle, but the second one I got I think 10 minutes faster, so it definitely was.
Nice. That's awesome. And so Taren, I was just talking to Matt about his triathlon experience, and it doesn't matter. That's the cool thing is some of the people that did this thing did it on like bikes with baskets on them. And it's amazing because they're just getting out there, getting fit, having fun, and just doing the things, training, getting in shape, and feeling great. Speaking of feeling great, do you want to tell him?
Should we tell him?
Should we tell him? Yeah, you should tell him.
Well, I think, yeah, he's got a little smile, so I wonder if he's letting on that he knows a little something here, but you are getting an extra big Canyon swag box. I'll let JB explain what extra big means.
Extra
but
big,
it's pretty cool.
Canyon Speedmax 7.0. Congratulations, Matt.
No way.
Yep, you are the winner of the new bike. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah. So here's a picture again of the bike that you've won. It is incredible, amazing, aerodynamic race machine. No longer are you going to be using the $200 bike for your triathlons. And
slight upgrade.
The other thing is you're going to have to make sure to post online your training as you approach your next triathlon, because I think you might be taking a little bit of time out of your bike leg, if I had to guess.
I would hope so. That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Very, very cool. So it's been
Congrats, man.
fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Fantastic to have people just really get involved. And what would you say to any beginner triathletes out there, Matt?
I would just say enjoy the process, I guess I would say. It's definitely a learning curve, especially for me.
Mm-hmm.
All I did before this was play soccer and run a little bit, and that's it. So.
Yeah, it's very different. It is a lot to learn. And it was one thing that I really got, and Taren, I think you could probably back me up here, is that when you take three sports and you mash them together, it's more than a cumulative, because you need to learn how to like bridge from one to the next.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so much harder because you're not just being mediocre at one sport, you got to be mediocre at three sports. And then you don't just have to be mediocre at them individually, you have to know how to go from one to the next.
Oh,
and
man.
Not even be like and still try to be mediocre. Yeah, it's an incredible thing to go from not having done them to having done that first try. And apparently you do your first try and you win a Canyon bike. So people should do it more often, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on board today. It's a pleasure to see and hear your story, because you needed a bike and it just worked out. We basically did a random number generator in order to do the bike giveaway. And, you won out of 10,400 people who signed up for this thing. So talk about some good luck.
Yeah, right.
So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for coming on board today. We're going to hop on with some more highlights, kind of share some more of the stories, and we still have some very big prizes to give away. And thanks for taking your time today with us, Matt, and make sure to send me your address.
I will do.
All right. Thanks so much.
Good work.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
So we've got some really cool additional things to share and some fun things to share. I think one of the things we have here that's interesting with DIY Tri is the threshold of entry is low, Taren. And what would you say about how it differs from entering, say, an Ironman event?
Well, having done a number of triathlons, I think I'm up to, 60, 70, something like that. What I've found over the years is that, particularly with Ironman racing, the fun has kind of been lost from it. That it's so specific, it's so driven, that everyone is driven to move up to the next distance or improve their time, that the fun gets lost. And when we start looking at these pictures from the Canyon DIY Tri, that vibe of having fun with it again is coming back. And I think this virtual racing and these DIY events that people are really just doing something for the sake of liking it, and not necessarily for the sake of setting a time. I think it's fantastic.
I love it.
You coming from mountain biking, you'll know like how different the vibe is in these other sports. And when you come into triathlon, a lot of people lose that fun, and to have it back is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I'm going to share another one of these photos. This is awesome. These guys are up in the Great Lakes swimming like in ice cold water. 3 friends talked each other into doing this thing. They had a 70.3 canceled, no problem. They went, they did it themselves, completely different bikes. One's got flat pedals on it. I mean, these guys are just going for it, but look at their faces. They're just having a blast. And I think that's what it's all about. We've got really cool stories like Nina sharing motivation. Nana sharing motivation. He's talking about his DIY try. His previous post is him in the gym, talking about his triathlon, sharing it with his friends. And, he says the triathlon, when he steps back from the experience, he's done some in the spring, but he did this one untrained, like, relatively untrained, much like myself. And let me tell you what, it is a slap in the face when you're not really doing the swimming, doing as much running as you should. And he says it's a worthy ambition. He's always trained for his tries previously. He tells his friends to trust the process, because he did this one untrained. It made him understand how magical it is to be able to do it when he is trained. So congratulations, Nana, for winning a Canyon prize pack. So what would you say about the difference between the training, this just training work?
Training tends to work, yeah. Yeah, training tends to work. It's funny that with this year in 2020, so many people coming like in and out of fitness as opposed to just having an entire summer's worth of fitness. Mm-hmm. Seeing the people that are online, me included, that go from not training a whole lot to, all right, I'm going to pick it back up. And all of a sudden you're like, holy smokes, I feel like a beginner again.
That's right.
So to be able to do a race like that, I would almost want to do that just to have that feeling of being a beginner, like have that wobbly feeling, almost fall down after I hop off the bike, all those fun things that you go through in your first race.
There's so much to learn, and I think that's what has really been fun for me and fun for a lot of the people who jumped in for DIY try. You can learn about the bikes, the equipment, and how much difference a triathlon bike actually makes on the bike leg is kind of an eye-opener. And I would say, riding the Speed Max, I went from doing 20 miles an hour on ride solo to doing 23 miles per hour, like just mocking along on tempo rides. It was really, really cool. And, I think it's neat also to learn about the biomechanics, the running, the swimming technique, and how you can actually have all of this, improvement with, all the learning that's available out there. And that's a nice segue to folks who haven't tuned into Triathlon Taren's YouTube channel. You've got to check it out. I was on there several times, just getting inspiration, trying to figure out, should I do breaststroke for my swim? It's just such a great resource. But it's also really fun, and it's not pretentious. Tell us about your approach to your YouTube channel.
Well, if people come, I hope they like really pale Canadians that are a little bit chubby, because we specialize in that. It started out about 5.5 years ago as a hobby, and I was just an amateur triathlete. I'm still just an amateur triathlete. Yeah. And I don't have the coaching pedigree of the people that coach elite world champions, and I don't have a PhD or a master's of sports science, but what I have is this journey of going from almost falling down when I hopped off my bike doing my first race because I didn't even know that I had to do brick runs, to now being on age group podiums in races and being a little bit more competitive. Yeah. And the lessons that I learned throughout that 10, 11 year journey that's still going on is what we try to share. So the real issues that real people go through every single day when they're trying to get to their first endurance race are what we try to help people with. And sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's goofy, and sometimes it's helpful, but all along the way we try to at least keep it fun, because I think that's the key thing for adults. We need to take the fun out of it by being so serious.
I was going to say, I totally agree. I think keeping it fun and welcoming beginners, welcoming people who are first timers, I think that's a huge thing that we can all do as we transition from beginner to experts and beyond. And I think it's been really neat to see the community of triathlon embracing new athletes, new riders. There are just some fun stories, fun shares. I'm going to share another one here. This is really cool. I was going through these. Some pull your heartstrings, some of these stories. Some just get you fired up to go out and work out. And then some are just completely hilarious. This one right here is really cool. This is Jen Tryon, who did her first triathlon ever. She also wins the award for most colorful photograph in the entire DIY Tri competition. I think she's got an Endurace there. So yeah, just a really cool photo. And but she's sharing the stoke, to get out there and just to do it. A lot of people are scared to do a triathlon or even a DIY Tri. I remember sitting on the edge of this cold, dark, moss-covered lake, and I was pretty nervous. So super cool. So she's another one of our winners and a fine example of encouraging others to do it. So she shared other people and asked other people to join in. So she is also going to win the prize box with Amp Human, Split Nutrition, the Training Peaks Premium, and some Canyon swag. So super stoked. Another really good one was the Unintended Triathlon. Had to put this one up there because it is just too good. So check this one out. So we put the contest up and we kind of spread it out. So people would sign up for the Canyon newsletter, check it out, kind of, learn about it. Well, they heard they could win a free bike. So they're like, oh, free bike, and you're clicking before you even read the fine print.
I'm in.
Yeah. So, this a fun character post: when you fill out a form for a giveaway and somehow accidentally sign up for a triathlon. And they post a picture of the, kind of like the cruiser bike. I thought it was so awesome. And, the neat thing is when you just say, hey, this is actually for me. This is not for anybody else. It doesn't matter what you're on, So we had really just some real fun shares, really cool shares. The canoe share, I already shared that one. We had some really inspirational shares with people posting pictures of themselves with their kids riding and, or hopping in the canoe. We had some other really cool shares, like this really fantastic shot in Manhattan. And, he just got his friend out there to take some pictures. And, this is part of what you should check out. Go to hashtag Canyon DIY Tri and just scroll down through those highlights and you'll see some really fun stories, some great performances. But I think, like you said, what really sets this apart is because, no one's judging you. You have the freedom to have fun with it, and really just, have a blast with it. And, so I think we have some questions. If anybody has some questions for Taren, post them in the comment list, and we'll make sure to get some great questions answered. If you guys have anything you want to say to him or questions for Taren, it'd be kind of fun to drop those in at the end of our broadcast. So Taren, tell us a little bit more about your very first triathlon. I think we'd kind of got a little bit of that story.
Well, I wasn't really happy with my job, so I just felt kind of unfulfilled in life, and I figured I'd do something that challenged me a little bit, made me feel alive. Well, I had only gone through Don't Drown Level 1 and Don't Drown Level 2 swimming as a kid, which is very, very different from race swimming and triathlon. So I started training for this, And I would go to the pool the first day, and it took me an hour to do 14 laps, I think it was 350 yards, and I was burping chlorine for 3 days. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be really hard. I have a race in 3 weeks. Well, the race didn't go that much better. I somehow survived the swim. Hurt a lot on the bike, even though it was just a 13-kilometer try. So 13-kilometer bike, and in miles, that's only about 8 miles, so not that long. And then I figure, all right, well, the run, that's going to be my thing, because at least I'm healthy and I'm in my 20s. I can handle this. Well, I didn't know that you had to train yourself for going from the bike to the run. So I get off the bike, and instantly my quads just go and seize up.
I'm very familiar.
It was so bad that I did the Frankenstein walk out of transition, that one of the volunteers at transition after the race came up and he went, how'd it feel when you hopped off the bike there? You almost fell over. Like, why didn't anyone tell me about this? So I ended up finishing second.
Nice.
Out of about seven that did this this total beginner try.
Yeah.
And I think the other 8 competitors were women or children under the age of 16. But we're all at the same level. So I'm going to take that podium finish and really be proud of it. Highest finish I've ever had in a race, actually.
You know, I think that's pretty surprising. That's a pretty darn good story. So you had a little bit of a natural knack to it, I guess. I definitely am not a natural swimmer. It took a long time, and I was working on it over the summer before this DIY try even came up. Otherwise, I probably would have drowned. I think Kyle McCann has a great question for Taren. How do you stay fit during the winter? I mean, you live
fortunately
in an igloo, right?
Oh,
is it?
I basically, yeah. Well, pretty much. Yeah. It's not even November, and we've already got 6 inches of snow on the ground in Winnipeg. So I have the luxury of this very nice training studio. It's a 720 square foot insulated, heated, furnace, air-conditioned studio where we've actually got a master spa swim spa, so I can swim in here. I've got the Zwift set up with a canyon bike, and I can do a full try right in here.
Yeah.
And then just to be like, make this extra, Taren land in here extra special now.
Look at
over
this
my
backdrop.
shoulder. I've got a golf simulator now. So it's a garage. There's never been a car in here. It's just my toys.
Yeah,
basically.
I was gonna say your backdrop there. It's kind of like one of those share your Zwift like pain caves. I think
I'm trying to win that. Yeah.
You're definitely ahead of me. I've got like this blank wall I stare at. No, I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. I've got the trainer desk and like the large screen TV and Zwift, and that helps.
Oh,
but
you're fine.
I'm doing good. I definitely don't have any weightlifting or other stuff going. But that's a great question. I think Kyle brought up. And as far as we transitioning into winter mode, what are some tips that you would say are beneficial, to setting up your sort of pain cave?
Well, there's 2 things to that. One is, how much time do you need to spend inside? And if it's all the time, like we have here, that basically 80 or 90% of our training is inside, it's got to be pretty nice. And having a dedicated space where you don't have to pull things in and out to set up to get going, that makes a big difference, because the setup, it's friction. Like, it's friction that's going to stop you from maybe doing that ride. If you can get a little bit inside, a little bit outside, I would actually encourage people to try to do some more outside training. We have a Canyon Dude, the big fat bike with the fat tires, coming out soon. And it's so much fun. Things like that, like changing up your training so that you can still get outside, feel that sun on the skin, or even just breathe that fresh air, whether it's snowshoe running or getting on the fat bike, even though you don't have watts or any targets, or just getting out. I would say have your training set up as a backup,
Mm-hmm.
because being outside is going to do better for you by the time race season comes around, and you've got to start working really hard. If you've been suffering indoors, you get a little bit mentally burned out, to be honest. And most people aren't like Lionel Sanders, who can handle that year round.
Right, 6 hours on the trainer. I think it's a good point. You know, you have only so many mental matches to burn. And so if you're riding every day on the trainer and you're smashing, you know, you can burn all those matches. But if you mix it up, you know, embrace the suck, so to speak, go do some Nordic skiing, go do some trail running, you know, and then, you know, kind of save that sort of focused stuff for twice a week or 2 days a week. That I think is a great way to create sustainability. Creating routine I also think is very important. Got another funny question. What's the best anti-chafe gel from Ben Turner?
D's Nuts, hands down. My favorite D's Nuts. DZ, and I think it's nuts, like normal, the way you spell nuts. They have a ladies, they have a men's. Smells good, feels good. I'm into it.
All right. So, any other good questions? Drop them in there real quick, and we'll get to them. So, what about what's the best swim deck cold weather parka you've used? From Ben Turner, also.
Oh yeah, Ben. Ben is he's actually one of our team athletes. He is down in Florida, so I don't know why he's asking that question. He can walk around in his Speedo all the time. We don't. The thing is, we don't have outdoor pools. So when I go down to the States and I see everyone in these long capes that are on deck parkas, I don't know what they are, because all of our pools are indoors.
Interesting. I had to check this out.
I got no answer.
You know, it sounds good. I remember freezing before getting into the water. Like, I stood out there pacing back and forth, putting it off. And then eventually, you know, my family started to chime in. All right, we're going to do a countdown for you, because we're not going to be out here all day waiting for you to do this. So they did a 10, 9, and then all of a sudden, just like that, I switched into race mode. And I was like, okay, you know, get your position, ready, you know. And instantly I switched from I don't want to do this to I'm doing this. Like, there was no thought once the, you know, the go gun goes off. And I think that's one of the lessons for goal setting. So how would you say goal setting plays into kind of keeping yourself honest?
I think it's huge, and this year has taught me that. Historically, I've always thought that I enjoyed the training a lot more than the racing. Mm-hmm. And the racing was just kind of like a victory lap, and it was a formality that you had to go through. What I found out this year is that I liked the training because it is for a race.
Yeah.
And the trick that I like to use for finding a race that I like, or a challenge or an adventure that I like, is trying to find something that is just a little bit scary. Like, just scary enough that I think every morning, you know, I better train, because if I don't do this isn't going to go very well. And that tends to keep me motivated. Having a goal that I know I can achieve without any difficulty, that, I don't know, it doesn't scare me enough to get me out the door every single day. So that goal that's just a little bit scary seems to be the sweet spot, personally, for me.
Totally. I remember that sort of feeling like, oh no, there's a race coming in 10 days. You know, that takes the laziness right out of you, because you're like, you don't want to embarrass yourself. You've got to go. You've got to get out there. You got to just keep yourself honest and do what you can. And sometimes it's not what you thought you could do. You know, you have an issue or an injury, and, you know, you kind of change it up, or it's raining outside, so you ride the trainer. You know, there's always something that's going to get in your way. And I think it's, as athletes, we find the way to sort of tap into that motivation. And so it's really incredible. Huge congratulations to everybody who gave this a shot. I mean, whether it went sideways, whether it was pretty ugly, funny, a great challenge, I think it's just so inspiring to read these stories, because it's not an easy time. People are having a tough time, and being cooped up indoors or not being able to get to their favorite event, to tap in and to sort of share that community. And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to have Triathlon Taren on for this episode, is because he is one of those guys that makes you feel like you're part of a family. When you're watching his show, he's got a huge following. So I would say make sure to tune in to Triathlon Taren's YouTube channel, subscribe, and then I think it's going to be fun. What's coming up next for you personally, Taren?
Well, a lot of time on Zwift because of the 6 inches of snow outside. This year has been a lot about healing. It's actually been kind of a nice year to not have any races. As triathletes, we get banged up after a bunch of years of chasing personal bests, and I got banged up after a few years at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
So this year was actually good, just to reset and find some fun again and let the body heal. And you know what? I'm really enjoying the idea of, instead of constantly chasing PBs, just going on some endurance adventures.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know if that's going to be doing an Ironman next year. I know that in the next couple of years, I am going to try to qualify for Kona. But I'm not sure if that's going to be next year or not. The thing that's kind of in my brain, and the new Canyon Air Road bike got me really thinking about this, is seeing how I would do in our provincial road cycling championships. Because
there you go.
For a triathlete, I've got a pretty big pop in a sprint, and I wonder if I'd be able to, do like 1 year of just focused road cycling training and see how I would do against the true road cyclists.
Well, I think it would be fun to follow. Step outside your comfort zone. I think that was a big part of the Canyon DIY Tri for me. Is, I've done cycling for a long time, but this was a chance to get out there, to try to figure out a new machine, try to figure out the transition from swim to bike to run, and to piece it all together. Just the process of the training has made me a better athlete. The running is just so good for your muscle tone. It's great for getting your endorphins going. It feels very different than cycling. And I think that impact, you feel good afterward. I won't lie that during the DIY Tri, there were some times like, oh man, this is hard. But afterward, you feel so good. So what would you say about that post-race feeling or post-triathlon feeling, how that's different from some other sports you've done?
I find personally, unless it's an Ironman, in which case you're just annihilated after, but most triathlons, you're not nearly as beat up as a lot of other races. Even a half marathon, which is, if you're going fast, I've gone an hour 28, just like fast-ish, but not super fast. But even that alone, I'm in just shambles for days. Like my stomach is in knots because of all the pounding. Whereas a triathlon, it's just this long, slow burn. And then basically as soon as you finish, pain's over. Unless you're doing an Ironman, then it hurts for a long time.
I was gonna say.
But it's different because I think it's not quite so intensely hard on the body.
What I felt was really neat about it, the magic of it was, my course was point to point. So I started the swim and then biking home, and then got to the city limit, put on the running shoes, and ran to my house. And it was something interesting when you become capable of overcoming any terrain obstacle in your way. Swim, bike, run, whatever. There was something really fun to that. And I think that was, something that we'll have me coming back. If we do the Canyon DIY Tri next year, which I think is 99% likely, it's something really engaging about that. And the feeling of being like a well-rounded, truly fit athlete is different than being a specialist at, just pedaling.
Have you ever seen that comedian that was talking about triathlon, and he says, listen to these Ironman athletes. Listen to what they do. They swim 2.4 miles. They bike 112 miles. Then they run a full marathon. Somebody needs to tell these people that if every single mode of transportation that's ever been invented all goes down in the same day, you won't be expected to make it into work.
Love it. Yeah, man, that's a good one. I love it. It's super fun to see everybody embrace this concept. And, you know, when we look back at this, I think it's awesome just to see how people embraced it, shared it, and ultimately it's sharing the stoke. It's inspiring riders to ride. Of course, you know, there are some people who wanted to win the Canyon Speed Max. And, you know, the Canyon Speed Max is still there. It's actually discounted right now. It's a fantastic bike. And it is the fastest bike in triathlon, according to Strava. I don't know if you read those stats, but in any case,
I didn't see that.
Well, they did a statistical analysis by bike because you put your bike in when you do the, all your segments. Yeah, so they kind of somehow were able to stack up the. Anyway, long and short of it, I think the DIY try was fantastic. Went swimmingly. Well, get it? Swimmingly. And thanks so much for coming on board, Taren. I look forward to following you this winter and seeing some fat bike missions and also some swim tips. I'll be in the pool and kind of keeping this as part of my cross training repertoire as we come into next year. So for everyone who's tuned in for the Canyon 360 Labs, thank you for joining us. It's been awesome. We're probably going to have a few more episodes as we've got some big triathlon news coming up in the next couple months. So, Jeremiah Bishop hosting for Canyon. This is Triathlon Taren. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, make sure to get outside your comfort zone and have some fun and go ride.
Later, Trainiacs.